Sometimes the things happening outside of the football pitch are even more interesting than the things that are happening inside. Why am I going too fast? I'm just saying sometimes the things that are happening outside the football pitch are usually very, very interesting than the things happening inside the pitch. And it's because since last week, I've been on Jackson case, like just watching him, trying to reason out his decision. Because as I asked this question last week, like, why would a not so proven, but a little bit proven striker from Premier League, from the World Cup champions? Yeah, it's a World Cup champions, just not the countries, the club World Cup champions. A second or third position striker, why would he go from a World Cup champions to a Bundesliga champion or a Bundesliga team? It didn't make a lot of sense for me in that moment. Now, yesterday, as I was going through, football news, and then I got some people talking on the press saying, Ken just wanted to go from Premier League. Like he wanted to move from Spurs. But moving from Spurs to another Premier League club would be like, it would be called a snake. Like he wouldn't just come from Spurs to probably Arsenal or Spurs to Chelsea or Spurs to Man United, because those were the teams looking for a striker. And I think he had exhausted, he had given a lot to Spurs and he just wanted to go. Now, what was like, a little maneuver will not make him a snake. Just move to Bayern, then come later to another team. I think that was his reasoning even when going to Bayern, because in his contract he had signed a release clause that was set to start next year after the World Cup, where any team who could pay at least 56, which is a little amount for a striker of that caliber, he will got him. Now, the thing is, if Ken was aiming to come out of Bayern Munich next year, I think that will have influenced Jackson to want to go there, because he knows he just needs to wait for another 1 year, and whenever he gets a chance, he proves himself so that next year he can be signed. And I was so much convinced that was the reasoning behind his agent and him going to Bayern Munich, because it didn't make sense like going to just be a second fiddle striker who is so good, who will not give you a chance, and who is 33, who could play up to 37. That's like 4 years, and by the time it's 4 years you are 27. Why would you want to be in 27 and not playing like a second person in Bayern Munich? It didn't make sense. But from that, listening to that, it started making sense. I started thinking, Jackson is a little bit, is aiming, is a little bit forward thinking. I had even planned to congratulate on the agent on his supposedly good thought process on his agent. Some agents are just about getting that money here and there, here and there. I thought like he was so focused on the well being of his clients. But then, just today, just again going through after making that video and trying to post, then it's like a notification on my desk. Then there's a conversation, a whole interview with somebody called, what is his name, Uli somebody. I need to get his name right. Uli Oeneb. I don't know if that's the spelling in German, but Uli Oeneb was the CEO and chairman or director of Bayern Munich for quite a while, and I think even by now he's still involved with Bayern Munich for some time now. I don't know at what capacity, but I think he's so involved. And the way he said was like, Jackson even tried to pay, that 16.5 million that was supposed to be the loan. And we were all wondering how can Bayern all of a sudden start paying 16.5 for a loan? It comes that Jackson even contributed to move out. Like when Chelsea cancelled the loan, He had to go and say, you know what, I'll pay part of my loan to just be here. And he contributed around 3 million, which is a huge, huge money for a person coming from Africa. But they're getting paid a lot. So he contributed 3 million to manage the loan. But that's not important. What Ulioneb said is that they are not going to trigger or to, because that was a loan with an obligation to buy, but they rather pay the fine, which is around 5M, do not sign Jackson. Like, they are so sure. Like, they're sure they're not going to sign Jackson. Because even the obligation has stated that Jackson needs to play 40 games. And he can't play 40 games because Ken is there. Ken will always be there. He will always be playing a lot of games this season. Now, for a team, especially in Bundesliga, which have 16 teams in a league, even if you add all the league cups and plus Champions League, they're not going to hit around 60 games. Now, if anything lies to you that out of the 60 games, majority, if they go up to final at every competition, out of the 60 games or probably 65 games that Bayern Munich will play, Jackson will play 40. That's a lie. Which means Jackson will still be in Chelsea next season. But he has shown, just like Vega, just like Kepa, just like, he has shown that he will not be a person who is willing, just like Lukaku, who is willing to come back to Chelsea. So that means that Jackson has a very, very, very slight chance. You know how this, I've always said like this, that sometimes talent is nearly the same for any position. You go to right back, and there's Reece James, there's Trent, and then there's a lot of other people who have nearly equally talent and their contribution or output. You go to the striking position, there's Osimhen, there's Lewandowski, there's Ken, and then there's a bunch of people who are, nearly the same. Now, sometimes you are just lucky that you play with very, very creative people. You play with people who are supplying you the ball. You play with people who are giving you the ball. And sometimes you shine. And Arsenal might look you from Portuguese, from Sporting Lisbon, and give you a huge contract. Sometimes you find those people in Germany, and Man United might come to you and sign you. Sometimes you find those people in Newcastle, and Liverpool might come there and sign you. And that usually happens. It doesn't mean that you are very, very, like, you are better than the rest, like you are very, very good than the rest. It just means that you have gotten a chance to show yourself. If Jackson ruins this chance for him, I think it's going where Onana is going, because somebody who had the chance to play top level football, Champions League football just last year, come right now and you are going to Trabzonspor. It's just some kind of decision making that sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you are just making these decisions and then just things turn up. It's not like you are bad. You might lose some confidence, but it's not like you are so, so, so poor. Even the other goalkeeper for Liverpool who conceded 2 goals, the free kick, the overhead versus Bell, and then the long shot versus Bell in Champions League, just ruined that career like that. He was just on top of the world. Then 1 year later, he was there trying to find a team. This might be a chance of for Jackson. And I know he's not going to get a lot of chances in Bayern. And if he's not going to get a lot of chances in Bayern, he's not going to show himself off. And if he's not going to show himself off, Bayern will not trigger. Chelsea will not trigger. And a lot of big teams right now have strikers. So where will he be going? He'll have to downgrade, which is a bad thing. That's not what we hoped for. But those are the things that as a person in my position I have to learn and tell the guys who are watching me who wants to make good decisions in their career that sometimes you have to be patient. You don't have to move from a second from number two to number two in another. It's Don't be cray cray. Anyway, subscribe, man, and thank you.